Hey guys, Scott Adams here again. So today I want to talk briefly about data privacy with e-commerce. So there's a number of regulations and laws, and these things keep changing and are moving pretty rapidly. One thing to remember though is that a lot of companies tend to think that it doesn't matter, right? That they don't need to be worried about these because maybe one, they're in Europe and we're in the States, or the company's in the States. Second, a lot of people think, well, if I'm using Stripe, if I'm using PayPal, I don't have to worry about these because all my payments are outsourced. But both of those things are wrong. So first, the few main ones. So there's kind of three. There's actually a lot more, but let's focus on the main three. So there's PCI, which has been around for a long time, and that's specifically around payments data. There's GDPR, which is a EU law, but it does affect any business pretty much. And then there's CCPA, which is California's. And so CCPA and GDPR are very similar, though they do have a lot of differences, but they both have broad reaching implications because it doesn't necessarily matter if you're in California. It doesn't matter if you're in Europe with GDPR. And PCI, again, is anyone involved really in the payments ecosystem. And so, just think about a few things. One, research these things on your own. And be aware that you probably are in scope for these things. Two, with PCI, even if you outsource all your payments, there is a questionnaire you still need to do, and it'll tell you what scope and what's in scope for PCI. And this is required for anyone who deals with payments at all, but especially credit cards. And it especially deals with credit card data. And so, yeah, something like Stripe does remove a lot of that, but you still need to comply, and there's still some things to do. If you've recently gotten a merchant account, even more important, because in that case, depending on how you orchestrate and how you set up your payment systems, you have different levels of scope. And it also talks about what data you store. Like, for example, you should never be storing a credit card in clear text. Ideally, not at all. You also, should not be storing CVV or card codes at all, ever. And then with the other data privacy laws, those ones are not around just credit cards. So you need to think about those. And really the key points of those are just making sure that you know what data you collect, where you store it, how you store it, and that you have the ability to grab any data that relates to a person and report on it and even delete it, depending on what the situation is, who the data is about, and where you're located or where they're located. And additionally, the other thing to think about too is doing employee training, right? There's no specific training, but in many cases, so many of the times data breaches are because people internal to the company made a mistake. So let's think about these things, and in the near future, I'll do more videos going into details around each law and regulation. But just be aware that almost definitely your business is in scope for some data loss. So you need to be careful and make sure that you're aware. So thanks a lot. Hope that helps.